So this is Hare Krishna Valley. It's a spiritual place. It's a very powerful place. You might have felt some energy there during the kirtan. This is our Sunday service, our Sunday chanting together. And it helps to bring unity in humanity. Right now on the planet, there are many conflicts. We're seeing all around the world people are not getting along, both internationally, locally, collectively. You know, people are not getting along so well a lot of the time. So one way that we can solve this in the world, we can just bring everyone together and we can just chant Hare Krishna like we just did then. Did anyone feel any animosity while the chanting was going on? No? Did everyone feel some union? It brings everyone together. This is the program we'd like to present to the United Nations. Right? Just bring all the world leaders together. You get Donald Trump and Malcolm Turnbull and I don't know the names of all the people. We get them all together and just say, okay, everyone start chanting. Donald, chant. Put his hands in the air. Hare Krishna. Yeah. This would actually bring world peace. It would actually solve all the problems. You can bring Korea. I don't know the name of the guy in Korea, but whatever his name is. Bring him over and get him chanting as well. We'll say we'll give you a free vegan feast at the end of it if you chant. So in this way we can create union instead of diversity, coming onto the spiritual platform, which is important these days. So what we'll do, we'll just ask, does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask? Sometimes people like to ask some questions to a member of the Hare Krishna movement about the meaning of life, the universe, everything. So if you have anything you'd like to know or ask, anything you've been wondering about, you've always wanted to ask a Hare Krishna person, so you have our undivided attention at this point in time. So.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
I've been to many Aartis before, but I haven't actually understood some of the meanings behind some of the practices, like with the fire and then waving the hands over, the snowing of the flower. Those, can you explain a little bit more detail about those?
About the meaning of the whole thing? Or?
Yeah, like why do you do the practices and how does it, like for me personally when I do the Aarti, I feel the connectedness, I definitely feel different in the energy when I place the hand over the fire and all those things I can feel, but there must be sort of like a meaning toward the practices as to why you do it.
Yeah, why we do it.
Yeah.
Okay, nice question, that's good. So, we were doing the Aarti ceremony just before, and my wife was doing the offering to the altar. So the first thing that we offer is the incense. So when you bring someone to your home, then you create a nice atmosphere to welcome them. So an Aarti, in one sense, it's a welcoming ceremony. It's a way of treating a guest with respect. So this is considered to be the temple of God, the temple of Krishna. We have a kids' room in the back also, just over here in the back side, and you can hear everything that I'm saying in the back also. So if the kids are a little noisy, just take them over there, because it's easier for us to concentrate like that. And you can still hear everything, just there. So, this is the temple of Krishna. We see God as a person. Just like, hands up here if you're a person. Okay, 95%. That's good. The other 5%, we're not sure. Nice to have you here also. We welcome everyone here. People and whatever you are. Then. Thank you. But we're all people. So these days it's very popular for people to think that the Supreme is impersonal or just energy and light. Just like I connect with a lot of people from what we call like the New Age movement. So quite often when they send a letter or they sign off, they always say with love and light. And everyone talks about the light, about the energy, about oneness. So that's people's understanding that we're all people down here, but the Supreme is just energy or light. Where our teachings, our ancient teachings from India, the Vedic teaching, they teach, just like we are people, the original person is also a person. He has name, form, qualities, attributes, like that. According to the ancient teachings, we call him Krishna. And just like you'll see in the pictures, there's a bluish kind of boy. That's Krishna. That's our understanding of God. He's a bluish cowherd boy. He likes to wander through the fields with cows, having picnics on the banks of the rivers, putting flowers in his turban, playing a flute. Does it sound like a pretty cool person?
Yeah.
Super cool. Super cool person. For me, it's very easy to see Krishna as God, because he's very cool. He's the kind of guy I'd like to hang out with. So I could just wander through. I mean, hands up if you'd like for the rest of eternity to be on the banks of rivers, having picnics, wandering through fields with cows. Anyone? Everyone's into it. Right? So that's why we accept Krishna as being supreme, because he's just very cool. The kind of person we'd like to hang out with. So when we're doing the ceremony, we're receiving Krishna or God himself, and we're saying, first of all, we're making him the center of attention, because in this world everyone likes to be the center of attention. We like to have the focus on us. Right? But let's put the focus on him, because he's unique, he's quite special. So we're welcoming him, although this is his home, but we're kind of entering into it. But we're saying, okay, now we're receiving you, or we're welcoming you, or we're honoring you. So the first thing that we offer is the incense. The incense makes a very fragrant atmosphere. It makes it nice. If someone comes to your house, you want it to smell nice. So different fragrances. And traditionally, in the old days, they'd light agabati or incense, or they would fragrant oils, water mixed with rose water or with sandalwood. They would sprinkle that around the home to make a fragrant atmosphere. And then secondly, we offer the lamp, the fire, which you saw. That's because in the old days, there wasn't electricity. So when someone comes to your house now, you just turn on the lights, instant. In the old days, you'd have to go around and light everything. They'd go and light all the lanterns within the house. So that's symbolic of we're lighting up the house, or lighting up. Traditionally, that's what we'd be doing. And then we offer the water, and then they sprinkle some water. So when someone comes to your home, if they've traveled a long distance, you say, would you like to have a shower? Would you like to refresh yourself? So we offer some water to wash or to refresh. And then the handkerchief means we offer some cloth. Someone comes to your house. Back in the old days, these days, we just drive from Melbourne to Bamborough. It takes an hour and a half. In the old days, you would come on a horse and cart, or a bullock cart, or you'd walk. So when you'd usually be quite tired. So the water would refresh you, and then you would offer fresh clothes to your guests. That's first-class treatment. If someone comes to your house, say, here's a fresh set of clothes. You'd feel very honoured. If someone came to your house and you said, what colour blouse do you like? And then you offer fresh clothes like that. That's very respectful. So then the handkerchief, and then the flowers. We offer, you see there's flower garlands. So you offer like a garland. When you go to Hawaii, if you've been to Hawaii, when you come out of the airport, they put a garland, a lei on you. So it's a sign of respect. Fragrant flowers, cools the body, and it's aromatic, and it's like that. So we offer flowers, and then we offer the chamara, which is like the whisk. Not the whisk, what do you call it? Oxtail. Oxtail. Yeah, there's another name for it as well. I'm just trying to think. But you offer the chamara, which means we're offering like a fan. You see in the ancient movies, they used to fan the kings and like that. So it's to offer respect like that. So when we do that, it's an Aarti ceremony, or it's a way of receiving the guest. And then we take the lamp, for example, we take the fire, we take it around the room, because it's been offered to Krishna, and then it becomes purified, sanctified. And then when you touch that, you're also feeling the spiritual energy, because it's been offered to God himself, Krishna himself, so it becomes purified. Then when you touch it, it actually purifies your senses. It's a way of becoming purified. Just like now, we're sitting up here, we're about to bring food, which we've cooked today. But before we eat food, we always offer it to Krishna, to God. So we're about to bring the food in, we're about to offer it to to Krishna and God, and then it becomes sanctified, purified. And then later on we'll take the feast. And then it has an extra element in it, which means it is spiritualized or purified. And when you taste it, you also become purified just by eating. It's the yoga of eating. It purifies you just by eating. So Hare Krishna food has a special ingredient. Has anyone noticed there's something different about Hare Krishna food?
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
Go on.
He's a Hare Krishna food addict. He's addicted. Keeps coming back. Brings his esky, fills it up at the end, and takes it away.
When's the food coming?
I'll talk quickly so we can see. So that's the system, because when you take the food, and people over the years, many years I've been practicing Krishna consciousness, then many people, they always come and they say, oh, have you got any of this Hare Krishna food? There's something about the food. Even I was in Tasmania one time, one guy came up to me across the street and he said, what do you do to the food? What's in the food? Because it's offered to Krishna, it's spiritualized. So therefore when you taste it, there's like what we call a higher taste, or it elevates your consciousness just by eating. So we're purifying our consciousness. The world these days, people are addicted to eating meat, which is destroying the planet actually. The single most detrimental activity on this planet at this point in time is meat eating. The world, people are eating meat all over the world, and it's not environmentally sustainable, it's not ecologically sustainable, it's not sustainable in any way, morally, spiritually. There's karma involved in eating meat. So it's causing mass problems on the planet. So we're teaching people, eat food which is non-violent, which means vegetables and these things. Even when you eat vegetables, there's violence involved, because you have to kill an animal, right? And when you take a carrot, you're also taking a life, right? So there's violence in both, but there's less violence. But when we offer the food to Krishna, the carrots and all the things that have been cooked today, he erases that karma. Whatever karma is there, he removes that, and then we become purified. Whereas things like eating meat, there's serious karma involved in that. And we see these days, there's wars breaking out all over the planet. In about a few hours ago, a massive cyclone hit Florida. Right? It's ripping through as we speak. They evacuated, millions of people have been evacuated as far as I know. All of these things are happening because there's so much violence on the land amongst humans that eventually the karma is going to come and hit humanity back. You can't slaughter animals and commit violence all over the world and then expect humans to live peacefully. It just doesn't work. If we want to be peaceful, first of all, we have to become ahimsa. We have to stop harming animals and others like that. So these are the reasons why we practice this kind of spiritual lifestyle. We offer the food to Krishna, we offer the lamp to Krishna, we offer everything to God or Krishna. That's called Krishna Consciousness. That's what we practice, that's what we teach. So that's the symbolism of the Aarti ceremony. That was the long-winded version. Is that kind of...
No, that's good, yeah. Getting a bit more of an understanding about each
article like that. Yeah, it's just being civilized, that's all. These days, like, people come to your house and you just say, look after yourself, or take care of yourself, help yourself. But in the old days, you would welcome the people. You'd actually receive them. You would treat them with great honor and respect. Even recently, I went to stay with a friend up in our other farm. And when I left, until he walked out with me, and then I got in the car, and then the car was driving off, he was still there. That's etiquette, that's love, that's the proper way to receive and honor a guest. Every time I go there to visit him, I learn, because I should be more like that. I should give more honor and more respect to, the guests that we receive. Like today, when all of you came, I'm standing there waiting for you to come. How are you? Are you well? Can we bathe your feet? Can we offer you garlands? I'm sorry we didn't have all these things, but we're a little understaffed here. But in the future, I'd like to be at that point. You guys come, we put garlands on you, and then we have like a welcoming ceremony. It's nice. People can receive all that, and you feel valued. That's the point. It's personalism, because we believe God is a person. It's personalism. You treat people like. These days, the world's becoming impersonal. That's one of the problems when we philosophically we don't understand that God is a person. Humanity also becomes impersonal, the way we treat each other. Just like these days. If you want to communicate to someone, what's the best way to communicate? If you want to get in contact with your children, what's the best way? You send them a Facebook message. And they'll respond to you. Like I wasn't on Facebook until about 3 years ago. I personally find it a more or less a waste of time. I personally find it quite shallow, hollow, unsubstantial, unfulfilling. The reason I'm on it is because sometimes it's the only way I can contact people and get responses. Sometimes I ring them, they don't pick up. I send emails, they don't pick up. I send texts, but if I Facebook them, they get back to me in 30 seconds. So it's handy for that reason. But this is a sign of impersonalism. And it's interesting, who invented this? Right? Steve Jobs. He invented that. Very interesting. He'd only let his kids use it for 1 hour a day. Interesting. Right? Even though he invented the thing, but his idea wasn't just free for all. Like if I don't control my daughter, she's on it all the time. We have to tell her, put it down, play flute or do something else. This is impersonalism. Personalism means we actually talk to people. It's a little weird these days. Like, don't talk to me. It's like that, Send me a text, that's okay, but it's just impersonal. So. Anything you'd like to add further to that?
Me? Oh, no, you've answered everything that I was thinking of.
That's the basic understanding of why we do what we do. So, good question. Any other questions?
My daughters, they are so affected by people talking behind your back, and there's a lot of anger coming from this. He said that, and the other one said this. So from a Krishna consciousness point of view, how do you manage this?
How do you manage
people talking behind your back? How do you relax? How do you avoid anger?
How do you deal with it when people are talking behind your back and like that? Best way is to go and live in the forest.
You can still do it.
That's what we do. We live here in the forest, so it's like that's the way I deal with it mostly. A lot of the time I don't even know. We're surrounded by forest. A lot of the time I don't even know what's going on the other side of the forest. That's one way of dealing with it. You can deal with it to a large degree like that, removing yourself a little bit. In our teachings, the ancient teachings which we follow, it says that you should offer respect to all people, even your enemies. You should respect them, but you should respect them from a distance. So if someone's criticizing you all the time, just like at the moment, I post things on Facebook to promote what we do here at Hare Krishna Valley, and we keep cows here. Protected cows. It's called Ahimsa dairy. So we have a dairy where we look after the cows, and the cows are protected as part of our family. After we have the feast, you're welcome to come visit the cows with us. We'll go and have a mini cow festival. I'll throw this in now, just while I remember. Next time we have the Sunday feast in October the 8th, we're having a massive cow festival, the Festival of the Cows, where about 400 people are going to come. And you're all welcome to come. And we're going to honour the cows on that day. A very special sacred ceremony. It's just a commercial break. All I remember. In case I forget. So that'll be the next time we do it. So we protect the cows here. So I promote that on Facebook. I say, what we do and everything. But there's one person in Geelong at the moment who just, every time I post something, they just attack. They say, this is just exploitation of animals, and you're just exploiting them, and it's just for your own use, and you just want to get their milk, and it's not true at all. It's actually completely the opposite to the way we live, what we believe, and how we practice. Completely the opposite. But that's their opinion, and I respect that's their opinion. So the people, they just keep coming at you. Sometimes you can't do anything about it.
You can block them.
What's that?
You can block them.
Yeah, you can block them, but when you put on a public page, you can't block it. Like if I advertise like on Surf Coast Community Notice Board,
Yeah.
and these people, they come in, because it's an open forum, so yeah. Otherwise, yeah, of course, you block them. Yeah. So basically, our philosophy is that you respect people, but you sometimes have to keep them at a distance. Or, you know, if someone's a little antagonistic towards you, you just have to distance yourself from the person. So then, as you said, how to not get angry, because that's the problem. It's difficult. You know, someone said, these days someone just says one thing to you and you're like, oh, and then you've got a grudge against them for 30 years, and people don't talk for years just because, one thing. And then sometimes someone hasn't been talking to you for years, and you say, how come you're not talking to me? And they say, oh, you said that, 30 years ago. You took the last piece of avocado at breakfast. And it's like, and these things go on and they escalate. It's the nature of this day and age. This age we're in is called the age of Kali. Kali means the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So people just quarrel about anything in this age. People erupt over practically nothing. Everyone is so disturbed in this day and age. So how do we deal with the feelings? Because sometimes we start feeling angry or we start feeling disappointed. We want to retaliate. The first thing we have to learn is not to retaliate. And that takes practice. If just because someone says something to us or does something to us or something which affects us, doesn't mean we immediately retaliate. You have to learn that art of stepping back a little bit. And in terms of learning to control our anger and the way we respond to the people, that takes spiritual cultivation. We have to learn to uplift ourselves onto like a higher level of consciousness where we don't become so affected by these things. And ultimately, we have to understand that everything that happens in this world is because of our karma. So even if you go to another place, you might think, okay, well, it's not working out for me here. I'm in this place, too many people are against me, people are saying things and it's affecting me, I'm becoming angry, I'm becoming distressed, I'm disturbed. So I'll go and move to Hawaii, because Hawaii, everything's perfect. Right? But then in the ancient teachings it says even if you go to Swaga, which means another place, a beautiful place, your forehead gets there before you. So when you walk into a room, your forehead goes first. So it means whatever's waiting for you is already waiting for you. So if you go to the other side of the world, it'll just all erupt again. People will come at you and they'll say things and all these things will take place. So we have to learn with a little bit of knowledge that these things are because of what we did in our past life. In our past life, maybe we were a terrible person. Maybe we were really nice this time around, but maybe last time we weren't so nice. We're the people who used to go and cause problems to everyone else. So if that's coming to us now, we should understand that previously maybe we weren't so good. So now we're just getting the reactions back. We should tolerate that. If you tolerate it, the karma is finished and then you move on. And if the best way of seeing it, which is a very spiritually progressed way, which is not easy to do, but you actually see the people who criticize you as your best friends. Because you think they're pointing out my faults and they're enabling me to improve myself. Right? That's really progressed. So we have to try to do that. Someone says something and you have to think, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe I'm not as perfect as I think I am. Does that help in any way?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just a few things that we different ways to answer. Any other questions?
Prabhu, I want to understand a bit more about Bhakti Yoga. You talked about karma, and I understand there is a path of karma yoga. But Bhakti Yoga, what's your experience to follow the path of Bhakti Yoga?
The word bhakti means devotion or love. So what we do in the Hare Krishna movement, we teach people devotion or love. So that means devotion to Krishna, to the Supreme Person, to God. So we are devoting our lives to Krishna, to the Supreme Person. That is called Bhakti Yoga. Yoga means to connect, to unite. So it means connecting to Krishna and to God with love or devotion. So everything you do, everything you offer, everything you give away, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, that should be done for Him. That is bhakti. And then once you love Krishna, love God, then you'll love all of His children also. So then you'll feel that you want to serve all of them as well. So that is bhakti. Bhakti means service. Right? If you love someone, you have to do something for them. Right? Just like, my wife is there, right? So then I can say to her, I love you. You're so beautiful. I adore you. You are everything to me. Then after about a day and a half, she says, so why don't you go out and do something? Why don't you put the garbage out? Or why don't you go and mow the lawn? You say, I love you. Actually do something. Show the love. Right? That's the point. That's bhakti. That's service. So it's okay to say, I love God and I love Krishna and everything's beautiful and I love Jesus and all these things, but go and do something. Like here in the Hare Krishna movement, we try to teach people. So we do something. We don't just sit in the forest going, everything's beautiful, Krishna's there. No, we actually do something. It's service. We bring people here, we try to teach them about higher principles, and then we try to encourage people to live their life in a more spiritual way, in a better way. So that's devotional service. That's what bhakti is. Bhakti means you would think of the other people, not of yourself all the time. What's the biggest problem in the world right now? What's the biggest disease on the planet?
Ego.
Ego? Yeah, true. What's the biggest disease according to the World Health Organization?
Depression.
Yeah, mental disease. It's mental disease. That's the number one disease on the planet. More than heart disease, more than cancer. Number one is mental disease, right? So many people have got some problem these days. Depression, anxiety. Every time I look, the list is like getting bigger and bigger. Then now they've got a new version of it and this and that. It's like people, So why is that? And people quite often come to me to ask for some advice or some counselling. They come and they say, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. When you become a Hare Krishna, you become a counsellor, whether you like it or not. People come all the time. I've got this problem, I've got that problem. I don't mind, that's fine. I'm happy to give advice to people. So they come and they say, and usually, quite often what I say to people is, try not to be so absorbed in yourself. Because if you're spending so much time just here, in your mind, always thinking, what this person said about me, and this happened in my life, and 35 years ago this happened to me, and all that, me. Of course you're going to be crazy. Or of course you're going to have a mental disease. Right? Why is it a lot of the time the Hare Krishnas don't have mental diseases? Because we haven't got time to think about ourselves. Because we're always, how many people we've got here today? 50 people or something? I don't know. We've been cooking for everyone. I haven't got time to say, oh my God. It's like, when I was 7, my dad didn't give me a toy. It's like, I haven't got time. We're just cooking, getting everything ready, people are coming, it's like, hey, we're busy. Like that, because we're absorbed in giving. Right? And you see, who are the happiest people on the earth? The people who give. And who are the most problemed people on the earth? The people absorbed in themselves. So you make a choice. So the Hare Krishna movement is all about giving. Right? No one comes to our place without being fed. Right? You don't come here and not get. We always make sure we feed all the people. Right? Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he said, no one in a 10-mile radius of any of our centres should go hungry. Right? So if anyone's hungry, you just come here and we'll take care of you, no problem. You have to do something. He also said no crazies, no lazies. He said that too. You can't just come here and just eat all the time. After a while we'll probably say, can you put the garbage out? Can you actually help us? So we're not going to indulge people in laziness or craziness, but at the same time we will look after people. So bhakti means devotional service, means looking after people, doing something positive. Is that okay, Tusha?
Thank you.
Okay. You like to add anything? You like to add anything? That's okay. TK? Thank you. Any other question? Everyone has achieved enlightenment. There is nothing more to be known. I have achieved enlightenment. Does anyone have any questions you'd like to answer?
I'll just add one thing that you were talking about with the gifting that I found interesting in my own experience. Sometimes if I see a homeless person, I'll go to a gift to them or something. But then I started to think, is it my ego because of how I felt afterwards? Because I felt it was actually for me. It wasn't actually for the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Charity.
Yeah, different modes of nature. Yeah, we have to, it's important that we understand or we look at our motive when we're doing something for another person. Because as you said, it can become based on ego or it can become based on something else. The problem is these days is that people really don't understand how to actually help someone. That's the point. The Hare Krishna movement, we're famous for feeding people. But we don't just feed people. Some organizations, they just feed people. But then Prabhupada, the founder of our movement, he would say the next day they're hungry again. So he didn't actually solve the problem. Yeah, of course we should feed people, because if people are hungry, they need to be fed. But that's not the end all be all. So sometimes people don't understand how to really help people. And it's interesting, I found out 6 months ago, I've been a Hare Krishna for a long time, but I found out 6 months ago, does anyone know who the biggest world charity organization in terms of feeding people is on the planet? Salvation Army. Yeah. Any other? UNICEF. Very good. Any other? Which one? Yeah, some people, like even I remember Hare Krishna, I thought it was the Salvation Army or UNICEF or something. It's actually the Hare Krishnas. I only found out myself 6 months ago. Every day we feed 1.2 million people. Every day. In India alone we feed 800,000 people a day. Worldwide we feed. I didn't even know that myself. So I'm quite proud now that now I realise actually how much we do. So the reason we do that is because if someone's in need of being fed, we'll look after them. But then we'll give them more than that as well. We'll teach them that the food should be offered to God, to Krishna. Because you can just eat, but you're getting karma. That's the point. Even if it's vegetarian food, there's still karma involved. But when you offer the food to Krishna and it becomes spiritualized, there's no karma. So we're teaching people higher things, more deeper things about life. And then we do like what we're doing now. We have spiritual discussions where we try to elevate people. We give people spiritual books. So we give people spiritual teachings as well. Not just altruistic or materialistic. So the problem is these days people don't actually know how to look after people. Years ago, the governments of the world formed the United Nations to solve all the problems of the world. But you see each year it's getting more problematic. And since they started the United Nations, more flags are being added. So we're not actually uniting everything. It's becoming more divided as time goes by. People are saying things more, and the problems are just escalating. Whereas, if they were listening to persons like us who actually have spiritual vision of how humanity can be organized and can be looked after properly, there doesn't have to be any hunger or anything in the world. We can solve all the problems instantaneously, basically. 1 in 8 people go to bed every night on this planet hungry. Right? That's simply mismanagement. That's all that is. That's gross mismanagement. Every government in the world should be fired, right, as of today, because that's just great. If you can't organize, Donald Trump and all them, they were talking, we're doing this. Man, if you can't even feed all the hungry people, that's the first responsibility of any government. Get everyone fed. There's one. If Africa is in such a neglected state that so many people are starving and in famines, it's just gross neglect. And it's not hard to organise. It really is not hard to organise. So as you said, you're looking after people. You really have to know how to look after people. That's the point. And that's the problem. That so many people in the world have got good intentions, but they really don't know what to do. You know, and some people really don't know what to do. They think they're helping people, they're actually taking it worse. It's like, what do they call it? The RSPCA. So what's that called? What does that stand for?
Royal Society Protection of Cruelty Against Animals.
Royal Society for Protection of Cruelty Against Animals, right? RSPCA. We all know the RSPCA, right? So they think they're doing a good thing, right? But recently they're doing a fundraiser, so they set up a barbecue outside of Bunnings. Ah, super intelligent. RSPCA, Royal Society for Protection Against Cruelty Against Animals. Oh, we're going to save all the cats and all the dogs, and to raise money, we're going to give you cows. There's no sense to that, right? Here, have a karma burger. You know, go and eat this dead animal. You know, get all the karma because you're responsible for killing that animal. What's the benefit? So people, they have good motives, but they're ignorant these days. They need guidance. And the real problem with the earth these days is that people don't have gurus. You know, this word is well known now, guru. Guru means a spiritual teacher. Right? Just like these days when you meet someone, right, you meet someone and say, what's your name? What do you do? You know, and then sometimes I meet people and they say, what football team do you barrack for? Like as if that defines me. Oh, I'm a Collingwood supporter. Nathan Buckley is my guru. But people, they get all these demarcations, all these, they align themselves with certain causes or certain things. But in the ancient times, when you met someone, you'd say, what's your name, what do you do? And you'd say, who is your guru? That was the main point. That was the main thing. So that's all, in the Hare Krishna movement, that's what we do. When we meet someone from around the world, like a Hare Krishna comes from England or something, so what's your name, where you're from, who's your guru? That's what we say. That's just part of our conversation. So the problem these days, people don't have gurus who can actually guide them and teach them what the right thing is. So what we're trying to do is supply gurus to the world, some guidance, so people can actually make the right decision on what to do. So, is that kind of clarification?
Yeah, I think, yeah. No, it does. There's, things that I'm capable of doing needs to be greater without having that attachment to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and see where the motivation's actually coming from. What motivates us? So if you analyse us in our movement, the way we do things for the pleasure of Krishna, for God. And we know what he wants as well. Because there's other groups who are very dedicated to Krishna, God. They have different names. But their way of serving him is flying planes into buildings. And they're convinced they're serving God. But they could not be more disconnected from him if they tried. Because that's got nothing to do with him. He's like, because we know him. We actually know him. We know what he's like. And we know he doesn't want us flying planes into anything. I can't fly anyway. But we know what he wants. We know how to spread his teachings. It's through peace, it's through compassion, it's through love. And that's what we do. Right? And it's successful. Our movement's growing all over the place. Yeah. We're the flower people.
Going back to the cities.
Yeah. We're beautiful, man. But we are. We have that. Like I was on a plane a few years ago. I got on a plane and then I was dressed as my Hare Krishna, I was in my robes and everything. And the guy in front of me turned around and he goes, "Where's your tambourine?" And I said, "Oh, I didn't bring it." I walk around with the tambourine all the time. But that's it, people got this thing like, oh, with the Haris, but it's true. We are. Like deep down, that's what we are. We are peaceful, we're loving, we're compassionate, we're trying to spread that energy on the planet. Sometimes we do our tambourine and sometimes we do not. But that's the way we live. Because we know what Krishna wants. He's peaceful. You see all the pictures, he's peaceful. He's a peaceful guy. And he just wants that energy to go out around him. He looks after cows. So what do? We look after cows. And all animals. Kangaroos all over this place. And, you say it here, so you know what it's like. Everything's protected here. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
One more. What I know, Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna is famous for the war he has fought against the then kings.
Yeah.
And you talking about ahimsa. So, what is the right aspect to actually see Krishna as a embodiment, or it's a vibrations, or how is ahimsa separate from when he actually made Arjuna to fight a war? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because the Bhagavad Gita, has everyone heard of the Bhagavad Gita? That's our main book. It's like our main teachings on it. So as you can see, it's actually spoken on a battlefield.
Correct.
So people say, oh, you just spoke for half an hour about love and peace and everything, and then your book's on the battlefield. Right? That's contradictory, right? It is, it's contradictory. So why is that? That's a very good question. It's because Krishna himself, God himself, came to earth 5,000 years ago. He lived here on earth in India, walked amongst us. Sometimes he sends his son, Jesus. Sometimes he sends his prophet, Muhammad. Sometimes he sends written. Sometimes he himself comes. That's our understanding of it. So we have to understand, war is the last resort. Right? It's the last resort. And if you understand, because people always say, oh, Krishna, he created the battle and did this thing. That was the last. So if you read the history of the Mahabharata, which is the great book, the Bhagavad Gita is just one chapter. He tried to stop that war in many, many ways. He himself went to the opposing army and said, let's just be peaceful, divide everything up, and live peacefully. And they said no. Right? So then why did he say fight? He instructed his warriors to fight. Because the opposing party, they were improper rulers. In other words, they were ruling the planet, ruling India at that time, Bharatvash, the planet. But they were ruling in a egotistic, selfish way, not for the benefit of the citizens. So he had to come in and he had to say, okay, we're going to remove them. He tried to do it peacefully. When that didn't work, he said, okay, let's remove them, and then we'll establish the righteous ruler. So it's the same as us. Like, we're very peaceful people, right? But if someone is acting improperly, we'll go to them and say, hey, this is not right. And we'll become strong. And that's not wrong to do that. Even though we practice ahimsa, right? But if someone is acting improperly, we'll say, hey, that's not right. And if someone is abusing another person, like abusing one of our cows or abusing one of our, or any of you, you're all our guests here right now. So if someone starts going a bit funny, right, then we will go and we'll say, excuse me. Right? And if they're not going to act properly, we'll have to be forceful. That's not wrong. Right? That's good behavior. So Krishna, okay, the war came, but that was for the right reason. And we don't like to fight, but then if bad people are acting improperly and harming others, yes, we will fight. I remember a few years ago, I was in India. I was in a holy place called Vrindavan, which is south of Delhi. And then the Hare Krishna movement in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's in southern Russia. So it's just, India's there, and then just up above the Himalayas is Kazakhstan, just above Pakistan. So the Kazakhstan government, they gave the Hare Krishna movement some land. And we started building a temple and doing some things. But then the government changed, and the new government, they decided they wanted to take the land back, which was actually illegal. So they came in the middle of the winter, when it was snowing, with bulldozers and started pushing over our buildings. So naturally we responded by internationally bringing attention to the injustice. So then all the Hare Krishnas who were in India at that time, at Delhi is like the capital of India, there's a Kazakhstan embassy. So they said, okay, we're going to do a peaceful march to the embassy. So they called all of us. So we came from every direction, thousands of us. So we got there and we marched up the road. And we're marching to the Kazakhstan embassy. But because they were destroying our buildings and so forth, even though we're peaceful, a lot of the devotees were getting very worked up. So it was you could feel the energy. It was starting to be like, and they were saying something in Hindi. I don't speak Hindi. But, I don't know, you're from India, right?
Yeah.
So, India things get worked up sometimes.
Yeah.
Cricket and stuff, everyone gets a bit. So yeah, we're going down the road, the guy with the megaphone was going, da 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 da. I don't know what he's saying, but he's going, da, and everyone was going, cha cha. And then, da 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 cha. So I started doing it as well. I didn't know what he was saying. So we're walking about 1 kilometre down the road to the embassy. And by the time we got to the embassy, like, there was a bit of a mood happening. And I thought, well, you know, the embassy's obviously going to be ripped down now. Because everyone's getting ripped. So they had all like the Indian SAS, like the Gurkhas. They were all standing, they all had their machine guns. That's leading on the gate. There's about 20 of them with their guns. They see this stuff every day in India, so they weren't worked up. But we got there, and then one lady came. She was like a sergeant in the army. She came out and she grabbed the migrant and said, "Everyone, shanti, peaceful. Just calm down, don't worry." So everyone sat down and got calm. But then, you know, at that time, at that moment, then I kind of got the feeling, or maybe we're going to die now. You know, maybe we're all going to charge and smash the embassy, like, you know, the guy's going to shoot us like that. But I kind of got the feeling, well, if I'm going to war for Krishna, war for God, that's okay if I die now. I was actually feeling pretty good. Maybe this is it, so let's I was feeling pretty good. But, you know, it didn't happen like that. We all sat down, and I came back to Australia, and now I'm sitting here giving the lecture, and you know, that's the way it all turned out. So we don't like to fight. You know, I've personally, the last fight I actually had, physical fight in my life, was in grade 6, which is like 40 years ago or something. Yeah. I haven't had a fight for the last 40 years. And when I had a fight in grade 6, it was actually with a friend. We hit each other, and I hurt him. You know, and I still feel bad about that. Afterwards, I cried. I didn't like it. I don't like fighting. But if someone is acting improperly, yes, we will fight, and we will. So that kind of fighting is okay. Is that okay? Good. Good question. Any other questions?
So what happened with the land?
In Kazakhstan?
Yeah.
What happened is that there was a lot of media attention, and governments don't like negative media. So basically we showed the whole world what they were doing, and then they said, "Oh no, wait a minute, that was a mistake. Yeah, you can have the land back." And now we've got a nice temple and a nice community and a nice farm there, and it's going okay. But that's just, governments do silly things sometimes. But yeah, the movement's going very well there now in Kazakhstan. It's very popular, and it's growing very nicely. But yeah, at the moment we've got a lot of opposition in Moscow at the moment. Same thing happened. They gave us a big parcel of land. Now they want to take it back. And in Russia, the Russian Orthodox Church is very powerful, and it's very connected to the government. And they're feeling threatened because we're becoming very popular, and because they're materialistic. Because, you know, the way we see other faiths and other religions, we see it very peacefully. It's all coming from one place. It's not like it's all different. You know, it's just different ways of teaching it, but it's the same. You know, there's only one person up there. So, you know, we can live harmoniously with everyone. We don't have a problem with other faiths and that like that, but some other faiths have a problem with us. They find us to be, I don't know, threatening or something. So at the moment in Moscow, we're having a similar kind of problem. And in China, we're still underground. The Hare Krishna movement's underground in China, because if we come out and say, you know, and practice in public, the government locks you away. They're still very oppressive in China. China tries to be very like, oh, you know, it's all nice, but they're actually quite oppressive. So, you know, some places in the world we have to be a little bit careful, a little bit discreet how we do it. Australia is nice. Australia, you can just do whatever you want. Just go down the street and just dance and chant. Everyone's, oh, there's the Haris. It's like in some ways. Any other questions?
Do all Hare Krishnas live in communities like this one?
No, not everyone lives in a community. Some Hare Krishnas just live in their own house, and they have their jobs, and they're just like what we call normal people, like that. Like my good friend Nanda, who's just sitting there on the couch. Like, where do you work?
In the city.
Where do you work in the city? What's your job? Like, just describe it.
I work in IT.
IT. But you work for the government, don't you? Yeah, so he's in a government department in the city. Like that. What do you do?
Finance, the mining company in the city.
Mining company. Yeah, so he's in a mining company, he's an accountant. Yeah, he's in IT, like that. Some people are doctors, lawyers, all the things. So, you know, Hare Krishna they just do everything like that. But in their own house, they practice their, you know, practices and their tradition and that kind of thing. We're very fortunate because we get to live here, like in the Hare Krishna community. Even though it's a small community, we get to live here and we just do Hare Krishna stuff all day. If you come here in the middle of the day, we're just dancing off through the paddocks, just going, Hare Krishna.
You are.
Oh, I am. He actually does stuff here, but I just keep the vibes up. I'm just like, no, we run this as a retreat center. Like this weekend we had a vegan cooking retreat. So people came here and they learned about cooking and yoga, and we taught them about Hare Krishna stuff. And we look after our cows and we grow vegetables and we do all sorts of things here. So we have like a, you know, so some people, I'm like a full-time Hare Krishna, and other people they have like normal kind of jobs, but they're Hare Krishnas in their faith. Like that, so. You're welcome. Any other question? Okay. Everyone satisfied?
Yeah.
You look satisfied. Is anyone hungry? No one's hungry? Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. I've got a nice magazine. This was published, what year is it? 2017. This came out last year or the year before. The Hare Krishna movement was 50 years old. We're 50 now. Now we're 52. So this came out a couple of years ago. It's a very nice magazine. It tells you what the Hare Krishna movement, a little bit about what they do all around the world, different countries and all our different aspects of our movement. So that's free. So if you'd like to take a copy, it's here. You can just come up and take a copy. It's very interesting. It tells you a little bit about us. And if you'd like to give a donation for the feast today, it costs a lot for us to cook and feed all of you. So we're happy to have you. If you'd like to give a donation, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. And then next month, we have our Cow Festival, which will be 1 month today, I think, 4 weeks today. And then it'll be about 300 or 400 people will come here, and we'll go and see the cows and do a very beautiful ceremony. There'll be a drama. One of our gurus is coming, like that. So it'll be a nice day. So you're welcome to come. You're welcome to come anytime. The doors are always open. Every Thursday night we have a get-together where just all of us are here and a few other people come. So every Thursday night you're welcome to come for that. Or every weekend there's usually something happening here, so just contact us, and if you'd like to come, you're welcome. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming.
Hare Krishna.
So please go to the next room, in the dining room. That's where, take your magazine if you like, and then we'll have dinner in the next room. Thank you. And we have a nice shop at the back as well. Some people are asking. The shop's open, so if you want to go, you can.